Hey, I'm Brooke. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm a life coach in private practice for over 4 years. I'm a matcha and knitting enthusiast, and I'm passionate about all things brave and creative living. Today's video is a collection of the 4 books with a bonus 5th book at the end that have truly changed my life. These are the books that actually made me rethink everything. They're books that I think you probably haven't heard of. I hope you've heard of them, but if you haven't, I think you're really going to enjoy them. These are my recommendations that have my highlighter all over them, notes in the margins. I come back to them again and again. I've read all of these books at least twice, some of them 3 times. So they come highly recommended from this life coach. I can't wait to share them with you. Let's dive in. Starting off strong with The Courage Habit by Kate Swoboda, and I even love the subtitle, How to Accept Your Fears, Release the Past, and Live Your Courageous Life. This is the book that made me realize I needed to be a life coach. I actually went on to do Kate Swoboda's Courageous Living Coaching Certification Training. That is who I'm certified through to coach. Kate is phenomenal and teaches with such deep integrity and care. I cannot recommend any of her work enough, but this book, if I were to pick one thing, life-changing. This book is also incredibly valuable because she breaks down 4 different types of self-sabotage. Analyzing those 4 are really going to help you realize which one or which combination you are, and then you start to notice it in your life and you kind of have to stop hiding from yourself, which is what I love about coaching. Those 4 styles that she breaks down are the perfectionist, the saboteur, the martyr, and the pessimist. I personally am mostly a saboteur. I will get in my own way at any corner. And this book really helped me break down what to do about that. I think the most impactful thing about this book is really getting the chance to ask yourself what you would do if your most courageous self was running the show. And I think you should read it because she offers what's called the Liberated Day exercise. And that was what got me hooked on this book. You do that exercise pretty soon into reading it. And that exercise changed everything for me, where I really realized what my priorities are, and it helped me really realign my life to my priorities. Phenomenal book by a phenomenal human. Can't recommend it enough. Book number 2, The Art of Money by Barry Tesler. Now, fun fact, Barry Tesler and I went to the same university. I went there for undergrad, she went there for grad, and that is Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado. Wanted to give it a shout out because it's such a profound place. This book is finally a holistic look at money and personal finance from the lens of a somatic therapist, which I think is so important because money and personal finance, I think, can be such a triggering topic that it's really helpful to have the somatic exercises she goes through in this book to check in with your personal finances. And if somatic exercises in a personal finance book sounds a little bit too woo-woo, I want you to stick with me here because this book is actually incredibly practical. It is the first time someone ever taught me how to calculate my net worth and look at the deeper details of where I was spending money and how I was saving money and investing money. Like, as much as this book is also a spiritual book, it will have you deep in your spreadsheets too, which I quite enjoy. I think the biggest takeaways from this book are taking an honest look at money shame, and I think what was mind-blowing for me was really recognizing that everyone from every type of financial background has money shame. Whether you come from not having money, from having an abundance of money, somewhere in the middle, and wherever you are today, everyone carries a certain level of cultural story around money and shame around money, whether shame having too much, having too little, wanting more, wanting less, whatever it is. And it made me realize that money is a common denominator, and so is money shame. And taking a look at where we have money shame and other emotional or spiritual blocks, I think is really valuable in personal finance because, again, it to me feels like a coaching lens where we're discussing how to get ourselves unstuck. I think you should read this book. I know you need to get your financial life together, but I also think you should be really kind to yourself while doing it. So pick up a copy and enjoy Barry's many years of wisdom as a somatic and financial therapist. Now, you know it would not be a recommendations list if Nedra Glover Tawwab was not on it, because her work is life-changing. The next book is Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover Tawwab. She is an incredible therapist and author, and you can see how marked up this book is for me with all my tabs. I have folded pages and highlighter all over it. This is one of my textbooks as a life coach. I come back to this over and over again because so many of my clients struggle to set and keep boundaries. So I recommend it to all my clients, and I come back to it myself at least once a year just to kind of review the key points. This book helped me understand that whether we're choosing them or not, boundaries are being set for us all the time. So we might as well choose the boundaries that actually work for us, right? So she discussed porous boundaries, rigid boundaries, and healthy boundaries, and kind of the difference between those three, and how we can move ourselves from porous boundaries, where we're just kind of letting everything happen to us, for us, even if we like it or don't like it, and rigid boundaries, and move past that into having more healthy boundaries. This book also really made me consider the cost of not having boundaries, and the cost of that is high. It's exhausting to have situations and have people in your life that are pushing through your boundaries, and getting an honest look at what it costs you to not have boundaries, I think, is critical for any adult who's trying to have emotional awareness. This book is also going to help you develop the practical skills for what happens when someone crosses the boundaries, and it's even going to cover the scary stuff, like what needs to happen if you have to end a relationship. And as adults, I don't think we talk about that often enough. Sometimes we need to end relationships, whether it's romantic, friendship, family, whatever. Sometimes we need to end those relationships, and I actually think this is a really practical skill set to offer yourself as an adult, and to be really kind to yourself and acknowledge that you don't have to stay in toxic situations. On the flip side, I think Set Boundaries, Find Peace also addresses the self-betrayal that happens when we aren't setting boundaries, and how not having boundaries is not having our own back, essentially. I think you should read this book because Nedra Glover-Tawwab is the therapist we all deserve. She's very kindly sharing her practical wisdom here, and I think this book really helps you assess where energy is kind of leaking out in your life and bring that back into yourself through setting boundaries. So pick it up, you won't regret it. And last and never ever least, because I don't want to say this is the most transformative of all of them. I couldn't pick one, but I think this was the first book that really made me question a lot about my life in a really beautiful way. And that, of course, is Playing Big by Tara Moore. Tara Moore is an incredible life coach, author, and facilitator, and this book, Find Your Voice, Your Mission, Your Message, is going to change your life. This book allowed me to recognize that there is a higher self, a higher version of myself available that I can have access to and build a relationship with. So when I feel stuck, I can check in with that higher version of myself. You might also call it like a gut check, but the way this book writes about developing a relationship with the wiser version of yourself, I just think is so beautiful, and again, is such a gift to give yourself in adulthood as a way to have your own back and really build self-trust. This book also gives really prime examples of how women are conditioned to stay in the background of life when really we should be taking up more space. It's going to give you really practical ways to address the fears you have about what it's going to take for you to stand up and shine in this lifetime. And I think it's critical that we understand and have a relationship with our inner critic as adults in order for us to really see where sometimes that voice is running the show and it really does not need to be, right? So addressing the inner critic is huge, and this book does that beautifully. I think you should read this book to embrace your inner power and discover what it is you really want from life, and eliminate any fear that's causing you to stay out of the light and stay out of the center. You are the center of your own life, and this book is going to help you really remember that and show up that way. Now, the last honorable mention, I don't have a hard copy with me, but I'll put a picture of it right here, and that is The Wisdom of a Broken Heart by Susan Piver. This book was with me during some of the darkest times of my life. Is such a slicing through of kind-hearted Buddhist wisdom, and the thing I love about Buddhist authors is the way that Buddhism is so uninterested in any mind stories we're telling of but this, but that. It's just like, whew, presence. And so the reason this book was so impactful for me was when I was in the depths of some of my own deepest heartbreak, I was having a hard time not constantly telling stories, not constantly running through fears, and I was just on the kitchen floor crying a lot, quite frankly. And this book helped me realize how much of the emotions I were feeling were being driven by thoughts, and I'm very passionate about feeling your feelings, and I think this book does not at all say don't feel your feelings, but it really is like, hey, your worrying thoughts, your deep fearful thoughts, your projections, your fears are causing suffering for yourself. And I think it just kind of allowed me to bring things way back into myself, bring my energy way back. If you or someone you know is going through a deep heartbreak, I highly recommend it. Specifically, heartbreak over a relationship ending, I think is such a brutal kind of heartbreak. And that book is just right on the nose for showing up lovingly and just giving you really practical wisdom for how to take care of yourself during a really challenging moment in life. I really hope you enjoyed these recommendations. Let me know which one you're most eager to read first in the comments below. I can't wait to hear from you. And keep up with me on Instagram and TikTok. I can't wait to see you there. Thanks so much for being here. Hit like and subscribe for more videos about mindfulness, matcha, knitting, life coaching, all aspects of creative and brave living. Can't wait to see you soon. Take care.